It has been 3 years since Kosiglo, along with Tiara and Chrysalis, was turned into stone statue. Ever since that day, the statue was still standing in Ponyville. Ponies can just walk by, look at them, and remember the day when three of the biggest villains was put in stone statue, and they didn't have to be worrying about them to make any form of threat ever again. But one day it will eventually change, because that day Celestia arrived to Twilight's castle was because she needed to talk to her about something. And that was when Twilight's reaction was, Celestia, are you serious about this? You think this is even a good idea? To allow her to be free from her stone statue? The main reason for her visit. Yes. And I thought all for ponies you probably would even accept this, said Celestia. But you don't know how bad she is. But then Celestia said, you know, Twilight, even she's one of the big villains we had for the past few years. There are two things that you should remember. One, she's a filly. And two, she is a Pegasus. It's not like she can use magic. Well, you're right about that. But even if we would release her from her stone statue, I would have something to recommend that we put in action just before that. And what you had in mind. Then Twilight told her idea. And what the idea were, Celestia agreed to it. The next day, Twilight stood by her friends outside the castle waiting for Celestia, Luna, and Discord to release Kosiglo. Sugar Cube, you can't be serious. Are you actually agreeing with this? I mean, what if there's something would happen? I mean, what would happen if she just simply takes off? Even if she does, I will be able to follow faster than her and capture her, said Rainbow proudly. Yeah, but still, is this really worth it though, Sugar Cube? Said Applejack once again. You don't have to be worrying about that, said Twilight. I had recommended something so that you don't have to be worrying about it, said Twilight. What you had in mind for that? You will see. Soon, Celestia, Luna, and Discord arrived. They all talked, and even Twilight's friends did show their concerns about this whole idea. But they agreed to at least be there to help if something would go wrong. Celestia, Luna, and Discord combined their magic and released Kosiglo. As soon as he was released, Discord snapped his fingers, but it appears nothing didn't even happen. It took Cozy a moment before she regained much of her awareness, because being released from the stone statue after like 3 years made her a little bit in a daze. I'm free? You can't just leave right now, said Rainbow. Oh, just watch me. But then, as Cozy was trying to use the wings, it didn't work. That was Twilight's idea. Discord put a spell on Cozy's wings that will literally prevent her from using them. The very same type of spell that Nebula was once experienced over 1,000 years earlier. That was the idea that inspired Twilight to come up with this idea. Kozigo, you have been released from your stone statue imprisonment for a chance of being reformed, said Celestia. You can't be serious that I'm actually going to take that chance, do you? But then Luna said put in her point of view. If you don't do this, we can always just put it back in a stone statue. Cozy realized that that was also part of the possibility that they would. But then there was one other thing that even when Twilight set in, you know, Cozy, you really had to do this. And we won't allow you to use your wings until you're truly shown remorse and a redemption of your past actions. And how do you know if I just want to just walk away from Ponyville? That won't happen because we will keep an eye on you, said Rainbow. At all times? If we must to, said Rainbow again. But then Cozy realized it wasn't worth it. Fine, I will try my best, okay? After that, Twilight had one more thing to point out. We do have one small problem. And which is, said Luna, almost a bit surprised. Cozy's family had left Ponyville, and I did reach out to them yesterday after Celestia told me about that idea, and I did give a response back to them. I don't know what made them to do this, but they wrote back that they don't want her back because of her past action. Meaning, said Rainbow, they don't want to have her anymore in their lives, said Rarity. Wow, that's just horrible, said Fluttershy. I mean, can you blame them after what they learned what their daughter tried to do? Said Rainbow Dash a bit firm. But still, it doesn't even have been gone so far. After Cozy had heard that her parents had literally abandoned her, it crushed her. She loved her parents. And hearing this made her almost faint. She just sat down on the ground and started crying. Genuine crying. But we had to do something for her. Twilight then decides to appoint a foster family for Cozy. Celestia Luna agreed this was a good idea. After that, Celestia left along with Luna. Twilight told her friends that she would look after Cozy for a while until she found a foster family. So, they then went back to the castle. But despite Twilight's efforts, she couldn't find any family or any pony that will take her in due to her past actions. It was looking dark because Twilight thought it was a genuine idea that she wanted to help. But then, just only a few days later, there was a knock on the door. Spike opened. Diamond! And Filthy Rich! What brings you here? We're here to talk to Twilight. Is she here? Yeah, she's in the library. Come on in. Twilight was actually a bit surprised to see Mr. Rich showing up at the castle along with his daughter, Diamond Tiara. Filthy Rich, what can I do for you? We heard that you had taken in Cozy Glow and you have been looking for a foster family for her. And that no pony wanted to take her in. But my daughter were able to convince me to at least try to take her in. Wait, are you serious? You're willing to take Cozy in as your foster daughter? Yes. You see, my daughter was a little bit troublemaker back only a couple of years ago. Yeah, I remember that. Even Diamond didn't deny that when she said, yeah, I was pretty dumb back then. When I heard that Cozy had been released, and that no pony really wanted to take her in to look after her as a foster family, I could just understand to stand there. So I asked my parents if it was willing, even though my mom wasn't really much happy with the idea, but my dad was willing to give her a chance at least. So And while Filter Rich and Twilight was talking, Diamond went upstairs to her room to find Cozy Glow. Cozy was just in her room, sitting on her bed and doing nothing. Hey, Cozy, right? Yes, and who are you? My name is Diamond Tiara. Can I come in? Yeah, come in. So, well, this is a nice room. Yeah, well, not much. I know no pony want to take me in. So, what are you here for? Well, then she explained. What? Your family are willing to take me in? Despite what I tried to do for a whole Ponyville and even for a whole kingdom? Yeah? I don't even know that this is even a good idea. Trust me, when my dad said something is what is affirmed, my mom had to agree with him. Because he is the one that makes the most voice heard in our house. After that, they small talked. Even though Cozy felt still heartbroken. Within still the knowledge, she's still processing that her own family literally abandoned her. Even when she had learned that her family just left town and doesn't even want to have her back, it made her heartbroken. After that, she went along with Filter Rich, Diamond Chora to their home, to their small mansion. There, she met Spoiled Rich. Even when she saw Cozy, she didn't look happy. But she said, so, you're gonna live here and you have to follow our rules, and that is the thing. You got that? Yes, ma'am, said Cozy, almost a bit scared. Diamond, you can just show her her room, okay? Yes, Mom. So Cozy was taken to her new room. It was filled with toys and even a comfortable bed. And most of that day, Cozy didn't leave her room. She just stayed there, and even in the evening or throughout the night, she was crying. Still revealed that she still hadn't even processed the realization that her own family had just abandoned her. And now there's a family that's truly willing to take her in as a foster family. Even Diamond could hear that Cozy was crying in her room because their rooms was wall to wall. But Cozy was happy somehow that she was given a chance. And the next day, Cozy went along with Diamond Jar and Silver Spoon to school. Even Silver Spoon was quite surprised when she heard that Cozy was now living with Diamond's family. But she was willing to help them about it. But even at the school, when the ponies there heard and saw she was even there, they weren't even happy. In a classroom, they could just try to ignore her as much. But at the recess, they all avoided her like the plague. They didn't even ask her to if she wanted to play with them or even want to talk to them. But the only one that really talked to her was Diamond, Silverspoon, and Cutie Mark Crusaders. They were the only ones that was willing to give her a second chance. Even though when the Cutie Mark Crusaders also heard about this, they were stunned. But truly, after that particular event, slowly, but day by the day, one of the other students slowly started to talk to Cozy and starting to form some new friendships. But it was a very hard process for her. She still had to be processing that her own family was no longer around her. They didn't even love her anymore. And that the fact that another family was so much willing to take her in, despite her past actions. But even if she was now living with Diamond Tiara's family, Spoiled Rich was still much a little bit hard on her, telling her the rules because one day Diamond came home alone. She even asked what schools they were. She said that she was on her way home, she was just walking behind her. And when Cozy came home, she was scolded. She was supposed to be walking with Diamond home every single day. Diamond told in defense that the reason why is because that she was talking to another friend. And Cozy said that to Diamond that she could just go home. She will be there soon. And she did come home, but she was still scolded. Diamond was really defended her as much as possible. Cozy felt at least happy now, not only that she has a friend, but someone was really so much willing to stand up for her. Cozy started really showing remorse of her past actions. Even though it took her months in order to redeem herself from most of the entire school and entire town. But even though that she was walking around by herself, there were still ponies, even adults that was just looking at her, whispered to each other, "Did you know what? She's actually really showing remorse." "Really? Yeah. That's great." Every time you heard those type of whisper, Diamond was happy to hear that. Cozy, she was just feeling a bit proud that she was being praised by the ponies. And truly that she had built so much new friendships at the school. And even though she had even once tried to reach out to her family, because Twilight still had the address where her family was living. She didn't even want to go there directly because it more likely would cause more problem. So she chose just to write a letter, and she did. And the back answer from what she said, from what she received the letter, and the letter said, "Kazuko, please don't write to us ever again. You are no longer our daughter. Please don't consider it as our part of our family ever again. We don't love you anymore. Please leave us alone." Signed, ex-parents. When Cozy read this particular letter, it was devastating. She was more than heartbroken. She truly wrote in her letter to her parents, that she did redeem herself. She had made so much good work. She had had some good grades and even so much new friends. But despite that, it wasn't even enough. So, Cozy decided just to throw the letter away, even if her old family would somehow reach out to her or even take her back. She wouldn't. She decided she doesn't want to have nothing to do with them ever again. Her new kindness for her new foster family was, well, happy. And even at this point, the spell on her wings was still there. But it was just for because of precautions still. Even though despite that she had shown so much remorse and redemption of her past actions. But then, one night, she heard something that really shocked her. She was just getting up to use the restroom middle of the night when she passed Spoiled Rich and Filter Rich bedroom. They were still much awake, and this was around midnight. They were talking about Cozy Glow's future within a family. And she heard what they were talking about. "Honey, now that Cozy has been in our family for the past few months, I can see that she really showing so much remorse of what she done. But is it time for us to talk about what you do next with her? Hmm. Yeah, you're probably right about that, spoiler rich. But I don't know. Diamond really cares so much about her, and I don't know. I mean, she isn't even part of her family officially. She's beyond her foster family. The plan was that she's only been her as a foster family for a while until, well, the next step were in Cozy. She felt devastated. She first believed that they were willing to accept her as a part of family, even if they may never have been adopted her. She cried and just quietly walked away. She went to her room, looked at the room and the bed, and felt she was no longer needed. She was not even never going to be a part of the family. So she opened the window quietly, crawled out, and walked away. The next morning, when Diamond went to wake her up, she found the room empty. The bed hadn't even been made yet. The window was open. She ran into the kitchen and said, "Mom, Dad, Cozy's gone." Her mom was like, "What do you mean? She's probably in the bathroom." "No, I was there first before I went to wake her up. The room is empty. The window's open." Rich immediately stood up and said, "We had to find her now." And even though that this was early in the mornings, like around 7, 8 in the weekend, they just ran out the house. Even they hadn't even fixed their mains or anything. They just ran out looking. They were just concerned. They looked around all over town. But then it wasn't until in the afternoon when they came to the outside of town, just about a short distance away from town, when they found her. At least Diamond did. "Kelsey, there you are. What have you been doing here? Why did you just leave?" Kelsey was crying. "It's because your parents don't even love me. They were planning to kick me out all the time." "What? You can't be serious, Cozy." In that moment, Filter Rich and Spoil Rich appeared. "Cozy, there you are. What have you been doing out here? Why did you just leave in the middle of the night? You've made us words concerned about you." Cozy looked at both Diamond's parents, and they truly were genuine concerned. Because she saw that Miss Rich was still hadn't even made her main yet. And she was even worried herself. "You really was worried about me?" "Yes. But then why did you just want to kick me out?" Both Filter Rich and Spoil Rich looked at each other and back at her and said, "Kick you out? What do you mean? We never talked about kick you out." "But I heard you last night. You were talking that since I have been in your family for the past few months, and the next step after I was supposed to be in your family as a foster family, then next," both realized that she had heard, at least not the whole conversation. "Oh, Cozy," Mr. Rich said, and walked up and sat down next to her. "There is much more you do even here. You see," Danny explained. "The day when he went to see Twilight months ago, the plan were that they were supposed to be in her foster family for a couple of months to see if she really was showing remorse and redemption. And if she really showed that, and if she really true love to her foster family, that she cared about them, they would officially adopt her. When Cozy heard this, she was like, "Wait, what? You would really adopt me? After what did in the past?" Diamond smiled and said, "Yep, we were planning to adopt you in the family. You knew?" "Yeah, I knew, but I must have promised to keep it a secret. Sorry." Then Miss Spoilridge said, "It's true, Cozy. And I'm so sorry if I have been so harsh to you, but it is how I am, you know? I do care about you, and seeing how much Diamond protected you, and how much you helped her with her homework, and how much helped around the home, even though we have our servants, I truly genuinely can see that you really care about our family. So me and my husband, Phil the Rage, decided to make it official. We wanted to make you official as our daughter as much as possible that it could be. And Twilight would promise to help us with that." Cozy stood up, ran into Spoilridge, hugged her while crying, and then she ran into Diamond and hugged her, the same thing, and they eventually made a big group hug. They all went back home, and a couple of days later, they went to the office in Candlelight to have this signed. And Twilight was there as much as a help and support. And after the paper was signed, Cozy Glow was now officially adopted into the Rich family. And at that same moment, the spell on her wings was lifted. Cozy felt so happy to finally have found her new family. She was genuinely happy. She was concerned if her family would, if her foster family, the Rich family, would simply just kick her out as well, and she was just genuinely worried about it. But now, she didn't have to anymore. From that day, Cozy was no longer homeless. She was even without a family. She has a new family. A truly happy family. A family that shows truly love and care. Cozy told Diamond after the papers were signed, "Diamond, I'm so happy that you really are my sister now. You cannot even imagine how I feel, but how much you really truly helped me." And Diamond just said to her while walking next to her in a smile, "That was what I'm for, you know? I could see the strong potential for you to be redeemed. And I'm really happy you are my sister. Even though I'm your older one, but, well, yeah, at least a few months." Cozy nodded and smiled and said, "Yeah, but again, I'm happy to be part of your family." "So am I. So am I, Cozy," said Diamond with a smile. Even now that Cozy was still getting used to having a new family. And if her old family would try to reach out to her again, she would deny them as no longer part of their family. Now she has a new family that truly cares and loves her. She couldn't have asked for a much better family and a new true sibling. And this is how Cozy Glow and Diamond Tiara became true siblings. The end.